Hi Scorpio, this is Lee at Fresh Astrology. How are you? We're looking at your 2019, and before I get started with that, you can ask me any questions here in the comments, but also on Facebook. It's a smaller community, so I have a little more back and forth with that community. And you can email me at freshastrology@gmx.com. You can purchase a reading or a life coach session at www.freshastrology.com. The links are below. I have a class coming up in January 2019 for people who do some kind of reading, predictive consulting. It could be astrology, it could be tarot, it could be psychic sessions. You're somebody who does psychic readings, but how do you use a coaching approach when you work with people in that capacity? How can you better help and serve your client? That's what we're going to work on. We're going to work on the coaching tools that help you do that. And these are tools that you can use personally. I'll show you that. We'll be demonstrating how these tools will help you in your own life and as a reader of whatever nature, and then how to apply. And we'll have tons of opportunity to practice. And for those who want to, it's certainly not mandatory, you'll be able to practice through my channel and on Facebook, on my Facebook page. So that'll be 1 day a week live with me and the other students, and for 5 weeks, and then we'll go on from there. You can test out your skills on my channel if you wish. All right, let's move forward with your reading. So I really like how the Chinese have, like, you talk about like the current year or the next year, and they're just like, it's the year of the dog or it's the year of the pig. I mean, that's so simple. You don't have to know anything else. You don't have to think how it relates, like how the pig relates to the dog. It's just the year of the pig. And all year long, no matter what, you can remember easily, it's the year of the pig, and you know what that means. And I think in astrology, often astrology is endlessly complex. You can go into endless, bottomless detail on any part of an astrology chart, or any astrology question can just go on and on and on. It's like peeling the endless onion, and there's something fun about that. I think a lot of astrologers kind of get into that, puzzling it out. But in terms of using it in your practical life, it's so nice just to have something easy like, oh, it's the year of the pig. And I think 2019 is really the year of Uranus, and Uranus into Taurus specifically. So it's there's some big stuff going on in Capricorn, which I've discussed with you in other readings. But I think if I had to assign one animal or one planet to 2019, I would say it's the year of Uranus. And Uranus, the movement of Uranus from Aries into Taurus for the next 7 years. And so what does that mean? What does that mean for you? What will the difference be? It's the same planet, Uranus, and that's true. Uranus is a planet that symbolizes a place in your chart where you're daring to be different, or being asked to be daring enough to be different. It's a place where you do well to try new things, to be inventive. You're being asked to try new things and be inventive. And it's a place in your chart where you're not allowed to be stagnant. You're not allowed just to hang out the way you've always been. It shakes up wherever it goes, and it shakes up that part of your life. And really always, these planets are not doing this to plague us or to play games with us. This energy is not there to mess with us. It's there to help us grow. It's there to help us move forward when we need to move forward, to leave old baggage behind and ditch it for good. It's there to help us create better habits for ourselves, healthier habits, healthier belief systems, healthier relationships. It's there to help. And because each of you are different ages, you live in different parts of the world, you have different situations. Uranus comes to each person, and in your case, each Scorpio, and addresses what's there in your life already. So we have to start with where you are and what's already going on in your world. And for all of you, it's going to be different looking. Just because, you're not all the same, even though you're Scorpios of some sort. So to give you a clue of how Uranus acts, you can kind of look to the past 7 years at where Uranus has been and what it's been up to in your the area of health and your daily schedule, your daily work life. So kind of your chores and tasks each day, and the people that you're surrounded by each day, who you hang out with each day. And what it seems to have been doing for the average Scorpio is creating a fair amount of disruption over the last 7 years. Your daily routine has dramatically altered. The people you hang out with every day keeps changing. Now, it may not change every day, but over the last 7 years, think of all the changes that have occurred in your daily life and how you spend each waking day over the last 7 years. A lot of change has occurred there. Also in your health, look at the health changes, not just for you, but definitely look at your own health and how it's changed, how your routines have changed, what you've changed in your routine to serve your health better, and look at the health of the people around you. Have people around you suffered varying degrees of change in their own health over the last 7 years? People pretty close into your world, like friends and family. What kinds of changes have you seen in your loved ones? Mental health and physical health. Mental health really is physical health, but we tend to separate it. But what have you noticed in your family? People have had some changes in their health, sometimes suddenly and unexpectedly. And so it's not just Uranus here over the last 7 years. It's Uranus combined with the 6th house, which is the part of your life that has to do with health and your daily schedule. That's why Uranus is impacting those particular things. Once it moves on, it doesn't impact those particular things anymore. And in addition to that, you have Aries, because Uranus was combining with Aries. Aries has this very fiery nature. It's a fire sign. It has a quickness to it, a suddenness, things starting suddenly, like maybe a health condition starting suddenly, things happening quickly. Uranus already has things happening quickly, but then you add fiery Aries, and things can really seem like stuff just happens so quickly, and then your daily world changes very quickly. That may have been the experience for many Scorpios. Now, as Uranus moves into Taurus and into the 7th house, it won't be impacting the same stuff. It won't be impacting your daily routine. It won't be impacting your health. It won't have such quickness and suddenness to it, although some of that unexpected change can be happening. It's not this quick, like, whoa, yesterday it was this, now it's this kind of feeling. It's not as heightened when it goes into Taurus. It's the equivalent of, let me think, what's the equivalent of? I had a good one for Virgo. It's not quite the same for you. Let me think. Thinking? What I want to say is, I don't know if it's exactly like this, but it's a little bit like the equivalent of being stuck inside a burning building. It's not your whole not every day of the last 7 years, but there's a little bit of like leaving a burning building, opening the door, and walking into a meadow filled with very placid, peaceful cows who are just gently chewing their clover and staring at you with their big, placid cow eyes. And suddenly you're out in the sunshine. There's no wind. It's very quiet, and there's just all you can hear are the cows chewing the clover, which, clover's not especially crunchy, so it's really quiet out there. And it's very still. And you've just been in kind of this burning building with chaos breaking loose, and the feeling of having to take care of yourself in kind of a nerve-wracking way, or maybe taking care of others in a nerve-wracking way. And then suddenly it's like you cross this threshold and the door slams behind you, and none of that's happening anymore. It's all quiet, and you've got the cows staring at you, and there you are in a meadow, suddenly, unexpectedly sometimes. And it's the meadow, in your case, of your house of long-term relationships. So it's a little bit like you're running in and you're just like in this peaceful place, but at the same time, some kind of there is going to be sudden and unexpected change going on in your relationship world. This could be in your business relationships. This could be in your love relationships. This could be in maybe some other kinds of tight relationships, maybe friends for some of you. Would have to but there'd be friends where there's like this implicit understanding, like a roommate, or you have like, this is a friend you depend on, and there's like this, maybe it's a spoken arrangement or an unspoken expectation that you're there for each other in a certain way. And so you could be discovering new people like this who are going to be there for you, and you're going into relationships. That could be the sudden, you run into this field, the door slams behind you on the burning house, and suddenly these cows represent new relationships, maybe new business arrangements, maybe new friends, long-term friends, maybe new love relationships, or a new phase of a relationship. So maybe if there was a lot of chaos and putting out fires in your life, so metaphorically over the last few years, and you just didn't have time to be in relationship or to focus on your relationship, suddenly that whole phase ends of putting out fires, sometimes literally for some people, but not always. It's really more metaphorical. And now that's behind you, that phase. You don't have to take care of all those emergencies that may have seemed to crop up from day to day. And now you, with this newfound peace and quiet, there you are staring your partner in the eye. Your partner in this case is metaphorically this big bull or cow just staring at you, and like, now what do we do? Now what? And that's the big question. Now what? If you're single, then you may well find yourself unexpectedly in a new relationship. Now what? And the way you know you're in a good place to find a good relationship for you is this. You're ready to be unconventional. You're ready for the unexpected. You're ready to change yourself and your own expectations. You're ready to embrace change and what comes in, not toxicity. You're not ready to embrace toxicity, but let's say a healthy, non-toxic person blows in, or there's this cow there. Sounds unflattering, but I love cows. Are actually quite nice. So there's this unconventional person flies into your view in your relationship zone, and there the two of you are, but this person doesn't fit your usual type. They may be significantly younger, they may be significantly older, they may be a different body type, they may have a different way of looking at the world. They're not your usual type. They're unconventional. So the relationship itself could be unconventional, or the person could be quite unconventional for you. They're not unconventional for everybody. It's not like it's a bizarro person. It's just not maybe your standard type. And there's this idea of the bull in the china shop. So let's talk about that. So in the world of relationships, sometimes we get kind of fragile based on hurts from the past. We can have kind of a fragile glass house with little precious glass figurines that we carefully set up, and our relationship world. And these are like our expectations and our mental construct around relationships. Like, they can't do this and they have to do this. And I don't want somebody who takes their shoes off when they come in the house. I'm going to make up bizarre rules. And they need to speak only in soft, dulcet tones all the time. They can never say the word never, or they're out. These rules that we have in our head, they can't be an ounce overweight. They've got to be tight as, a block of wood and toned within an inch of their life. They've got to be vegan, or they've got to eat meat, whatever your rule is, and they've got to, they've got to like this specific kind of music. And we have these precious little figurines we place around, and this little glass house that we build, this fragile place. And then, enter Uranus, which is like the bowl in the china shop, and all hell breaks loose. So this could be in an existing relationship, all hell breaks loose, because it's too fragile. There are too many rules, too many expectations, too many disappointments or something, and or not enough of something, and it's too fragile. And some relationships are too fragile, and they're wearing, and what needs to happen is some resiliency built into you, into your heart, into your expectations, into what you can accommodate, maybe into the other person. The other person needs to be resilient. The relationship itself needs to be resilient. It goes both ways. No one person in this instance could be a fragile little glass figurine, like, don't do that. Oh, I can't deal with that. No, I can't tolerate that. If you've got a fragile figurine anywhere in the china shop, and really there should be no china shop. It should just be a meadow filled with cows and bulls chewing clover and being more at peace with this energy. It goes better for you. It goes better for the relationship. So I'm just going to pull out examples so you see more. I don't know if you're getting my china shop analogy here, but let's say you are an extraordinarily hip human being. You're known for being a hipster. People know how hip you are. You're up on the newest, most avant-garde everything. You wear the perfect hip clothes. You know everything hip there is to know. You know it. You're avant-garde. You're on the cutting edge, and you kind of treasure yourself. There's something about you that takes pride in that, and within your world of hipsterism, everybody's very like ooh and ah over how hipsterish everyone else is, but you're single, and you haven't been able to make it work in your hipster world, and I'm not putting hipsters down at all. I'm going to trash. We have to, in this particular case with Uranus, we have to trash all definitions, all conventionality. And for hipsters, their conventionality is hipsterism. That is the convention. That is the convention in the hipster world, is being hipster. In the preppy world, the convention is being preppy. In the druggy world, the convention is druggy, being druggy, and whatever that embodies. In the very elite rich, the convention is being very elite and rich, and acting and saying certain things, and having a certain, amount of money in your bank account. In very poor populations, there's kind of a convention around being poor, and how people speak and what they do and their opinions. All that gets smashed in this china shop, all of it. So I'm going to go back to the hipsters. If you're too precious, and your world is too precious around hipsterism, and in your search for love, you reject anybody who smacks of not being fully hipster, not being fully hip, not fully being in the know, not wearing exactly the right thing, not having exactly the right haircut, not listening to exactly the right music, not understanding which authors to pay attention to. If they fall outside and they seem kind of uncool and kind of unhip and kind of you're just like, I can't, I just couldn't possibly deal with that because they're not precious and hipsters like me and my friends. That's a precious glass house you built for yourself with little glass figurines of expectations, and and I'm not just saying this is Scorpios, it would be like any sign with this coming in, you would need to smash apart the dynamic, the convention, and be able to and willing to accept unconventional things and have enough emotional depth and maturity to handle in a mature way what's happening. So if you're single and Uranus comes in, comes running out of the fire building, the door slams, suddenly you're in this meadow with the cows, and it's time maybe to have a relationship start, it's got to be unconventional. And it's going to be not unconventional to them, whoever they are, or some other person. It's going to be unconventional for you. And you may be unconventional to the other person. You may be very different from one another. So this is not a way to invite in, like, I don't normally date people who are addicted to heroin, but now I'm going to consider it because of this unconventional thing. We're not saying that. Normally I don't date narcissists because I don't really like their, but now because of Lee, in Fresh Astrology, I'm going to consider this narcissist thing. Maybe there's something here to consider. I'm not saying that. I'm saying in a healthy way, I'm opening myself up and growing kind of way, maybe for healthier dynamics and a healthier way of dealing with people and not so closed off and closed, basically. I'm going to explore differences, but in a healthy way. So I'm not getting abused. I'm not accepting some ridiculous behavior disorder that I just really is toxic because that person's not getting treated. So I'm saying in a healthy way, you're going to need to have a good relationship. You're going to need to embrace the other and the different, and to kind of smash some of your own conventions and expectations for what a relationship should be. But in a healthy way. I emphasize that because this is not an excuse to just throw caution to the wind and do something really dangerous or hurtful to yourself. But this is about, so it's not about embracing hurtful, toxic things, but it's about embracing things you normally wouldn't embrace, like the person's 300 pounds overweight, or the person's 300 pounds underweight, or the person's maybe a different ethnicity, or the person, maybe they're a different gender, or something that you just had never understood you could tolerate because of your glass fragile figurine house. And Uranus comes in and smashes this. So that's for the single person. But it's also for the person who's in a relationship because, we change. As we grow in a relationship, people change. And they don't always change at the same rate. So if you're in a long-term relationship, your partner could be going through a phase, you or your partner or both of you. But let's just say, for the sake of example, to narrow it down, maybe your partner's going through something and they're very unpredictable. Maybe they didn't have a personality mood issue before in life. You never saw it before, but people can develop things that they never did really present with before. So maybe your partner's having some mood swings. Maybe it's a hormonal shift as this person ages. Maybe there's some mood swings. Maybe they're needing to be a little freer. Maybe they need to go do things by themselves, and you're not accustomed to that, and so it's an adjustment. Or maybe the relationship itself is just changing. The dynamic is changing, and the more able you are, and the other person, but because it's your chart and I'm talking to you, the more able you are to grow and expand in a mature, healthy way with some of the changes, the more you can kind of weather the storm, the bucking bronco nature of this, as long as it's not harming you or toxic. If your partner still has good intentions, you both have still good intentions, you both still love one another, but there's just some changes, something to adjust to. You grow through this by being willing to change and not being brittle. Because if there's anything brittle like glass in the path of the Uranus energy, it's just going to break the glass. So this will test your relationship to see how resilient you are, your partner is, and the relationship itself. It will test resiliency, your resiliency skills. And some people make it through it, some people don't. But I think the people who do, it's a really good experience. If you make it through this resiliency makeover, you've got a really solid relationship. And I think people who have been through this and weathered the storm are really like amazed at how just amazingly resilient they are in their relationship. I think it's a really good feeling. And for those where it's just way more challenging, it's probably good. It forces you to see where you need to do some work. It forces you to see where you and your partner aren't seeing eye to eye. It forces you to see where the relationship is brittle. And you can either try to work on it or maybe not, but it forces you to kind of see the writing on the wall in many instances. But it depends on what's there in your life already. But definitely if you're looking for love, at any point during the next 7 years, you do better when you work on your own resiliency skills and you are willing to go out a little bit outside, if not a lot outside, your general expectation for a type. So I'm not saying, so going outside the box does not include going from, I expect a non-toxic, healthy relationship, but Lee said to be unconventional, so now I'm going to consider the unhealthy, toxic. I'm not saying that. Unhealthy and toxic is always bad. You don't want that, but it's understanding. We'll go back to the hipster example that maybe, I don't know what's the most appalling to a hipster, because I'm not hip at all. So I don't know what would be most appalling, but it would just be something tragically unhip. So somebody may come in who wears their pants wrong. Maybe they wear baggy pants or have pleats or something in their pants, and or they like music that just seems abominable to you, and but these are small things. These are small things, really, in the world of love. So what can you tolerate? How resilient are you? Can you look at the human being underneath the pleated pants? Can you consider someone who doesn't like your music or hasn't even heard of the artists you listen to or understand your lingo fully? Can you consider something really outside your range is the question. But within the realm of healthy, within the realm of loving and respectful and non-toxic, what can you consider? But that is the biggest thing going on for you. And it's a big personal growth experience. You're learning through relationship to others and learning how to be resilient mostly and what resiliency will mean for you. And each person is going to be very different. The other thing to keep an eye on is Jupiter. And I think you're likely to make more money and get kind of a lucky job situation. Maybe it's your own company. Maybe you're starting your own company. Maybe you get a great new job. Maybe you get a raise. But I think you're making a lot more money this year. So that feels good. And I think you're going to be feeling good about your own set of values. You'll see, and this kind of dovetails nicely with what you're learning in relationships. You'll see, what are my values? What do I stand for? And how do I enact them? How do I make them real in the way I live? That will be a big piece of this year. So, happy New Year. Take care.